Hello, welcome. It's New Year's Eve. I've got a sore throat. I'm not going to do any drinking or partying, so I thought I'd make a quick video. And in this video, I'm going to tell you, well, what I think is a doublet. What is a doublet? G5RV, ZS6BKW, they're all basically doublets. But what is a doublet and what makes it different from a dipole? What makes it fundamentally different from a dipole? Now, this is just my understanding of it. If you think I'm talking nonsense, please do correct me in the comments below, because we're all here to learn, and I might have got this wrong. So let's switch over to the other screen. So a normal dipole, you would take some coax and you will have two legs that are effectively half a wavelength. So if you've got a 40 meter band, so that's obviously 40 meter wavelength, your antenna your antenna for a half wave dipole would be half the length, 10 meters each leg. That's absolutely fine. If you want it to be for 20 meters, then your antenna will be half the size. If it's 10 meters, it will be half the size again, and so on and so forth. But let's say we want an antenna that we can tune on literally any band. Well, how would we do that? So what you could do, or what you might think to do, is just shove a really crazy big tuner down here at this end of the coax, and you can tune the hell out of it and it will tune anywhere. And it will tune anywhere if the tuner's good enough. Now the problem is, as soon as you move away from the fundamental frequency of this dipole, you're basically going to create lots of losses in this coax, because coax is very low loss. As soon as you move away from the 50 ohms traveling down through the coax, it becomes very lossy. Now, how do we solve this problem? Well, why don't we just make this a balanced feeder, ladder line, twin feeder, window line, whatever you want to call it. Essentially what happens here now is this is essentially no loss. There's no losses in ladder line because it's a balanced feeder. Now, I can't explain to you why that is, but that's just the way it is. Just accept it, move on. As soon as you do this, what happens is when you tune this antenna, let's say it's a fundamental frequency of 40 meters, so it's about a 20 meter dipole, 10 meters each leg. Well, what happens as soon as you tune away from that, you're effectively tuning the whole coax or the feeder and the antenna, and because this is zero loss, it doesn't matter anymore. It's still going to work and you can tune it anywhere. Now, let's say we wanted to get rid of the tuner because we're a cheapskate and we don't want to buy a tuner. Okay, well let's convert this into a G5RV and then we can take the tuner away. How do I delete this? Let's just keep pressing Ctrl Z until it disappears. Okay, so now we go back to the ladder line, and all that happens on a G5RV is somebody very clever, Mr. G5RV, figured out that if he makes this a very particular length and puts it straight into the back of the radio, you can have a little bit of coax here and maybe a 4-to-1 transformer at this point, but you don't really need it. It'll work without it. I mean, when you buy a G5RV, it doesn't say you need to use a 4-to-1 transformer, so forget that, and just a ladder line and about a couple of meters of coax or whatever into the back of the radio. And by the time the signal gets down to here, it's already all the conversions are done, all the losses are taken care of, and you've only got a very short piece of coax, and the loss in that meter of coax is going to be negligible. It's going to be non-existent, not enough to worry about. So what happens is you cut this antenna of a very particular length, and what will happen then, it will actually magically work on all of the harmonics that we care about on HF, or many of them anyway. It's not going to be a 1-to-1 SWR match, but it's near enough, and your tuner in your radio will bring it in. You won't need an external tuner. So that is the difference between a standard doublet and a G5RV. A ZS6BKW is just a bigger version of a G5RV. I think it covers more bands, and I think it's probably more efficient on some of the lower bands as well. There are other variations of this theme. I won't detail them all, but essentially the fundamental thing to know about a doublet is the ladder line feeder is pretty much zero loss, and that's the magic. That's why you can tune it on any band if you're using a really fat tuner down here, and you're not going to suffer from losses. If this was coax, this would not work. Your losses in your coax would be so high that it would be unusable. Well, you'd probably be able to use it, but it would be, you know, you'd be wasting 80–90% of your power in the coax. That's why ladder line is amazing. That's why the old boys love using their balance line feeder, because it's just zero loss. There we go, a very quick explanation of the Doublet and the G5RV and other variations on the theme. This wasn't supposed to be a detailed deep dive, frankly, because I couldn't be bothered to do the research. I just wanted to cover it at a very high level of why doublets are so cool. And if you want to get one antenna that will cover all of HF, a doublet is really a good option. The only downside is you will have to retune it every time you change frequency or change bands, but you will be able to use it on all the HF bands and it will work very well. It's a very efficient antenna. There we go. Happy New Year. Thanks for tuning in, and if I get plenty of likes and subscribers, I'll do maybe a deeper dive into this and cover some other basic antenna concepts as well. So if you like this sort of thing, show me some love on the subscribe button and the like button. Happy New Year. Bye for now.